starts.Alice icon here, talking a little Batwoman and Supergirl, both episodes 8, as we head into the crisis on Infinite Earths. So let's let's get right into it and discuss this week's episode first of Batwoman. So for episode 8 of Batwoman, it starts off with Kate. She's trying to figure out, like the master plan. She's trying to figure out what Alice is up to. She goes to Alice. She talks to Alice about the whole gun situation. When Alice killed the guy who had the gun that could kill her. And then Kate was just like, you still care. And then she's like, Beth is dead. And then she's like, well, not because of this picture. Or, it shows that Beth's still in there. So Kate walks away thinking that she could still save her sister. She's talking to Mary, and Mary invites her to a party because she's just like, listen, my mom's being honored tonight at this party, and it'd be nice if the whole family could go. And then Kate was like, 1, we're not a family, and 2, she was like, I'm not going to celebrate your mom because your mom is responsible for the reason why my sister turned out the way she turned out too. And then Mary was, Mary made a good point. Mary was just like, you're giving my mom a hard time, for what she did, which was horrible, but you forgave Alice, and Alice is literally terrorizing the city and killing everything that moves. And then, Kate's like, it's different though. And then she's like, why? Because Alice is your real family. And then, so now Mary's a little upset. And then Kate was just like, well, I can't go because, she's still beefing with my dad, and I don't want to do that to my dad. And then she's like, bitch, your dad is going. But it's, it's not really her dad. It's False Face, Mouse or whatever the hell they call him. So, then you actually see Commander Kane. He gets rolled up on at the local bodega. Alice's goons, take him. They lock him up. Alice brings him to like she brings him to the house that she was being held captive in for over 10 years. So while she's she's talking to him, she's got him chained up. He apologizes to her. He's just like, I'm sorry I abandoned you and I should have tried harder. And then she was like, thank you for that, but you're still gonna die. So then eventually Kate, she's talking to Luke. And then Kate puts 2 and 2 together, because she was just like, it doesn't make sense, because when Kate found out that her dad was going to the party, she was just like, my dad's not that type of person to forgive somebody, like that quickly. She was like, when I was a kid, he blew up for like a bunch of things, but it's like, he's gonna let this slide. And then she didn't understand why. And then, then she put 2 and 2 together, and then she was just like, she called him, and then she was just like, oh, it's a shame that, it snowed on your wedding day, and then the commander was just like, yeah, it sucks, but we pushed through it. And then she was like, haha, they actually got married in the summer. So she was just like, that's False Face. And then Luke is like, oh shit. And then, then he said, like, even the crows, they all work for Alice. So then now, Kate knows the truth. She knows the deal. Like, she hits up Sophie, and then she tells Sophie, like, yo, my dad is my dad, that's not my dad, that's False Face. And then Sophie's just like, oh snap, she reaches for the gun, but then False Face shoots her in the neck with a dart, and she shoots Sophie's husband in the dart because the 2 of them were together. So False Face ends up he takes Sophie and the husband. He locks both of them in his room, and then he goes out with the fake crows and some of the real ones, off to the party, because she had to get Sophie out the way. So then, False Face, he disguises as the commander. So now the real commander's captured. Sophie and her husband are, they've been tranquilized. So the only person who's around now who can do anything about the situation is Kate. So then it shows Mary, her mom, and False Face disguised as the commander. They're in a limo going to the party. Catherine, she's at the party. She's giving her speech because she was supposed to be honored. Alice took over, her speech and made her say that, during the speech she made it. She actually said the words, which is kind of cool. She was just like, the real criminals aren't the Riddler, the Joker, or Alice. She was like, it's the rich, it's the 1%ers, it's the corporate douchebags. And then the mom passed out. So they took the mom to a secluded location, Mary's with her, she's trying to help her out. And then Alice shows up, and then she's talking to both of them, and she's just like, oh, basically, Alice was just like, because Catherine was the one who basically came up with the whole skull fragment thing, and lied to the commander and lied to Kate about the fact that Alice was dead. So, Alice wants revenge on Catherine, because Catherine, in her mind, Catherine, broke up their entire family. And she's the reason why, she convinced her dad, to not look for her anymore. So, Kate, so because Catherine passed out, Alice basically says that, she slipped some poison into she slipped poison into her champagne that Catherine's company actually created. So she was like, you're gonna die from an invention of your own design, so Mary's with her, like she's trying to console her mom. She's like, Alice and Mary are going at it or whatever, and then Alice was just like, yo, if she gives me an apology, like I'll give her the antidote. And then Catherine actually gave her an apology. She was like, like I'm a mom, she's like, I just wanted the commander, I just wanted Kate to move on, and she said she was sorry, and Catherine said she's like, all right, I believe you. And so she's like, here's the antidote. And then Mary's nose starts bleeding, and then she's just like, she's like, oh, you drank the champagne too. And and then so now the both of you are gonna die. And then she was like, I don't have enough antidote for the two of you, so you're gonna have to figure it out. And then obviously Catherine, she sacrificed herself for her child. Like she told Mary to take the antidote. She even let Mary know that she knew about her clinic, and then she said she was proud of her. And then the mom died. I actually I gotta say that that disappointed me a little bit. Not to the point where I'm not gonna pick at the show, but I like Catherine being the villain. Like I like the fact Mary being like a sweet, wholesome, friendly person. I like Kate being Batwoman. I like the commander being the crow thing. But I like that Catherine was like the evil one, like in the family. And I thought that Catherine would have made a very good secret villain. It would have been cool if Catherine ended up being like a big bad or something, and the only person who knew that she was evil was Kate, but to everybody else, like Catherine's like like this wonderful person. I thought that would have been really cool, but they chose to go the route to kill Catherine instead. So so Mary took the antidote. Catherine died, and then and then that was it. So later on, Kate went to go talk to Mary. and then when she went to go talk to Mary, Mary was just like, she was just like, like my mom sacrificed herself to save me. She's not the bad person that you and Alice thought she was. And then she was like, is Alice worth it, Kate? And then Kate was like, nah, she's not worth it anymore. And then she was like, it's too late though. So Mary ain't talking to Kate now. So she mad. Sophie and her husband managed to, untie themselves and get out of the whole thing, but they had this whole conversation about how Sophie's still in love with Kate. So her husband was like, yo, you need to figure that out, and then once you figure that out, come holler at me and maybe I'll be around when you come back. So Sophie's marriage is in shambles, and she's leading the Crows right now, so she's gonna have a lot on her plate. The actual commander, so the vial that Alice used to put the poison into Catherine's champagne, she planted the vial on the actual commander, and she put him in his SUV and put him in a random location, and the cops rolled up on him, and he had the vial on him, and then he was the one at the scene or whatever, so the cops think that he poisoned his wife and his daughter-in-law, and they arrested Commander Kane, and he's going to prison now. So like now in the end, so like like their entire family's in shambles. Nobody knows what to do. Mary's not talking to Kate. Like I said, Sophie got the Crow situation, and then Kate ended up going to the prison to see her dad, and she was like, I hate Beth so much, Dad. And then he was just like, yeah, when I get out of here, we're gonna take Beth down once and for all. And she was like, yes, and I'm not gonna stop you. So Kate is just she's off the Alice train now, and she's full blown like, I'm gonna kick her ass, and she's gonna get Kate's coming for her revenge. So that was pretty much the episode. Like I said, it was a lot of good stuff, a lot of good emotional stuff. Like I love the Mary character, and it'll be nice to see what Mary does now that her mom is gone. But also I want to see the time jump, because there should be a time jump here. Because the thing is, when Batwoman met Barry, Kara, and Oliver in last year's crossover, Kate talked about the crisis coming, because she was just like, oh, this guy at Arkham, he's made a friend, and then the guy was like, oh, worlds will collide and blah blah blah. So what we've been watching for the first 8 episodes of Batwoman, we're actually watching like this is like the prequel of Batwoman, because in last year's crossover she was already Batwoman, and she was already like protecting the city. So like I said, we just saw the backstory. So when the crossover happens, there should be a significant, at least a year's time jump, because also at the end of the episode they showed Harrison Wells from The Flash, and they specifically put the date and time of when Harrison Wells was at. So again, the time jump with Batwoman should be mentioned. It should, because the thing is, now that the commander's in prison, and he's locked up or whatever, I would assume maybe like a couple of months after this is when Kate meets Oliver, Kara and Barry. So when after the crossover's over, when Batwoman comes back, a year, at least a year, should have gone by, and the commander should probably still be in prison. But we'll see. But we'll see. But like I said, good season, good mid-season finale of Batwoman. So for Supergirl, the episode, it takes place where we last saw where Kara was trapped in the fortress of in the fortress of ice, that Lena had set her up. Alex and Brainy show up at the fortress. They let Kara out. They're talking to her about, they're just like, like Lena has Myriad, and she's going to lease Myriad on the world, and she's going to basically bend the human population to her friendly will, so to speak. Kara's, like, oh, we have to save Lena, and we have to protect her, and then Alex, who's the voice of reason, and I give Alex respect, because she was the only one that was making sense, because she was just like, Alex was like, nah, like, she's trying to basically use Myriad against humanity, she got to go. And then Kara's like, oh, but I can talk to her, I can get through to her, and then Alex was like, first of all, tell me everything, how did she find out your identity? And then Kara told her the whole rundown. She was just like, oh, remember last year when this happened, and blah, 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 and then Lex, he disappeared, and then he teleported, Lena rolled up on her, and then, she ended up killing him, and then before he died, he told that he told Lena that I was Supergirl. So Supergirl told Alex the entire story, and after telling her the entire story, Alex was like, so she's been lying to us for months. Got it. And her and Kara had a conversation on the rooftop, and then she told Kara flat out, she was like, look, she was just like, Lex Luthor was alive and out of prison, and she didn't say anything. Like, when when Homegirl was Rain, she had her locked up in her basement, for like 6 months. She knew that she was Rain, and she didn't tell anybody. Like, Lena's a liar. Because she's a hypocrite. Because Lena's just like, oh, I don't like when people lie to me and people deceive me. But I'm like, she's like, Alex told her, she was like, every single thing that she's done, for the last like 3-4 years that we've known her, is evidence of her betrayal, and like, she's a liar. So Alex was like, yo, because Kara ended up doing like a hologram where she hologrammed herself to Lena's hideout, and then she tried to talk her down. It didn't work. Alex used that hologram to infiltrate like a virus into Lena's system, and then Alex was like, yo, the situation is basically this: either she's gonna surrender, or we're going to use this virus, shut down her systems, and then we're going to send in the troops, and we're going to blow that motherfucker up. And Kara was just like, don't kill her, don't kill Lena. And then she was just like, well, you better do something, And but Kara tried and she failed. So she ended up coming up with a different way, because like Alex, not Alex, Jean showed up with his brother, with Malekith, and then he was just like, oh, Malefic has changed, and then Malefic told Alex and Kara, he was just like, yeah, like Lena kept me prisoner, and then she let me go, she used my Q waves so she can connect it with Myriad to enslave humanity, and Alex was like, ha, told you. But but then he was just like, oh, but she let me go. He's like no, he was just like, oh, she wanted me to kill, and he was like, when I was trying to kill my brother, she wouldn't allow it because she said killing went against her moral code. And then Kara was like, ha, told you. So they're like, they're doing like the will she won't she whole thing, but Alex was like, yo, I can't afford to take that risk. So it's like, if Homegirl don't surrender, I'm gonna blow this sumbitch up. But then they decided to explore the other way, because again, they were just like, because Malefic has Q waves, he can use his Q wave power to counteract Myriad, and he can stop Myriad. But Alex was like, nah, because homeboy, he kidnapped my girlfriend, and he got in my head, and why should we just automatically trust him now? Which is also true. She has a valid point in that regard as well. But Jean told her, he was just like, yo, you gotta have hope, you gotta have faith. So she was like, all right, fine. At the exact same time, Leviathan, because they're not done, the old dude who looked like Goldberg and Leviathan, he was just like, oh, like, I will have my vengeance, and he rolled up on Andre, and he was just like, yo, you're gonna help me one last time to do something. So he brought Andre into this area where there were a bunch of people, and he told her, he was just like, yo, I need you to help me erupt this volcano to kill everybody. And then Andrea was just like, but what have these people done? And he was like, they exist. That's what they've done. So, he took her underground. He used his staff to like hold her to the floor, and he was going to use her power to create the volcano to destroy humanity. So Brainiac, who's still a little, he's still a little off. Brainy found out about that, And then he was just like, yo, we got Leviathan on the left, we got Lena on the right, what we gonna do? So then Alex was like, alright, so she was like, I'll handle Lena, Kara and John, like, you go guys, you two take down Leviathan. And then Kara was like, please explore those options, and she was like, you'll get out of here. So Brainy, because like Brainy is like full blown Brainiac, and it's all about like the numbers and the computation and everything. He told her flat out, he was like, look, if you use Malefic's Q waves, that has a 98% chance that it will stop Myriad and no one will die, and whatever. So she was just like, all right, fine. They used Malefic. He used his Q waves. Lena activated, Myriad. His power wasn't really working, and then he was just like, you have to remove our inhibitors, and then Alex was like, fine, so she removed the inhibitors. Malefic stopped Myriad. Lena Luthor was defeated. Jean ended up setting Andrea free from Leviathan's control, and then Kara was able to defeat Leviathan. Andrea actually rolled up on Goldberg looking dude, and then she went back to his hideout. And then, like, that blonde woman from the other episode, like, the other Leviathan blonde woman, she basically told the Goldberg guy, she was like, look, like, you done lost, like, 3, 4, 5... It's like, she's like, this is your final defeat. She was like, give me the staff. We're taking over. The power is ours now. Andrea dipped, and then now Leviathan has a new leader, and the blonde woman, she's taken over. So since Andrea, she defeated Leviathan, she went back to her, to Catco. She used her little, her contact things to look at her boyfriend one last time, and then she was just like, I finally did something good, and like we did it. So I guess she'll be back. Like, she'll probably come back in like the season finale as a good guy, and then because Supergirl always gets like some random superpowered person at the end of every season that teams up with them, and then that person just dips at like dips at like the last second. So she'll come back in the season finale to help them stop like the bigger Leviathan threat, because Leviathan's going to continue throughout the season. Lena ended up she teleported back to her house, and then the FBI showed up, and then she had Eve, or Hope Eve Tessmacher. She had her pretend. She had Hope put a gun to Lena's head, and then basically she had Eve take the rap for everything that Lena did, like, because like Eve Tessmacher's in there, but it's also Hope the robot. So the robot, she doesn't care about going to prison. She has no like recollection or like memory of like no feeling towards like humanity, because at one point she wanted to go outside and like put herself in harm's danger, and then Lena was like, you're not gonna do it because you're my friend. And then she was like, I'm not your friend, Miss Luthor. She's like, I'm just some computer you built to provide a task, and her task was to take the fall. She took the fall for Lena. She confessed to doing the whole Myriad thing. So the FBI took Eve into, because they think it's Eve, so the FBI took Eve into custody, and then Lena got off scot-free. And I'm like, yeah, this seems like some villainous-ish some villainous stuff going on. So that was it, and Lena's trying to figure out what she's gonna do. Kara and Alex were basically just like, yeah, we're still gonna try to save Lena, and that's where they left that. Jean and his brother, because his brother got exonerated from the DEO, Jean basically sent his brother to Mars, and he was like, yo, you can link up with Magan, you can help the Resistance, because since Malika Ak was the person who contributed to the fall of Mars, they were like, you can be the person that can save it, because you've worked with white Martians, so you know how white and green Martians both think, so you can be the bridge that brings them together. And I think we're gonna get an episode of that. Like, I think before the season's over, they're gonna bring Miss Martian back. They're gonna bring Malika Ak back, and there's gonna be an episode where Jean goes to Mars and helps with the Resistance. And then after Malika Ak left, then the Monitor showed up. And then he was like, John Jones, you... Because, and the funny thing is, I forgot. Like, at the end of last season, I forgot that, that the Monitor was the one that let his brother out of the Phantom Zone. I forgot all about that. He was just like, you will, to get revengeance on your... Like, that whole thing about him, like, I was just like, yeah, he damn sure did let him out of the Phantom Zone. But but then... He told John, he was just like, you've passed the test, John Jones. He's like, I let your brother out of the Phantom Zone to see if you had what it takes. And John passed the test, so he was like, now you're ready. And he was like, ready for what? And he's like, ready for the crisis. And then, the Monitor goes to Lex Luthor, because he's had Lex Luthor in, like, his domain realm. Because remember, he saved, the Monitor saved Lex Luthor from dying last season, too. So he has him in his spirit realm or whatever. He was just there playing chess against himself, and he was like, the time has come, Lex Luthor, for you to be the hero you thought you was. And then Lex was like, well, I always was the hero. And I thought that was a good line, because like and you can see it with Lena too, because like as evil as Lex is, as horrible as Lex has been, his whole story is based on the fact that he like dead ass like honestly thinks he's the hero, and it showed. Like it showed in this entire situation. So and that's how the episode ended. So the Monitor didn't actually speak to Supergirl, which I thought was odd, but yeah, but the pieces are all in play. Like, again, like Andre is done for the moment, Malak Ak is done for the moment, Lena's done for the moment, and now we're just gonna focus on Crisis stuff. And like I said, I'm here for it. So we'll see which characters survive after this Crisis whole situation is completely over. So that was it. That was my reviews for Supergirl and Batwoman. Again, Crisis is coming. Today we're gonna definitely do reviews on that. We'll see what they do with these time jumps. We'll see how everything plays in. We'll see if Earths merge together. We'll see if Earths merge together. So thank you for tuning in. Check out my other videos on my channel. Like and/or subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And until next time, for the CW crossover for Batwoman, the Supergirl's mid-season finales, I'm out this bitch!